looks like the illustration in the accompanying PDF. Point to the board. Ask, can anyone show where the solution to part D should go on the diagram? Hands shoot up. Then, right in front of you, Richard adds his. You know enough about the others to have an idea of how they understand rate, or at least an idea of what they will be able to do with the problem. Richard, though, is something of a mystery. After the worse subject speech, you collected his math notebook at the end of each week along with the other students. But he wrote very little in it and only rarely raised his hand. Now he's volunteering to answer the most difficult part of the question, and you have no idea what he'll say. What do you do? Look at the clock. Only 10 minutes left. Do you have time to risk a wrong answer? What about Richard? What if he isn't even close? If he's wrong, will he, an African-American boy in a racially diverse classroom, shut down and hesitate to participate again? On the other hand, what message does it send to the others not to call on him? Richard, you say. He stands up, turning his notebook so he can see it from the board, and walks slowly to the front. Everyone waits, silent. D. Show where the car going 55 miles per hour will be after 15 minutes. Reaching for the miles section, on top, he rests the chalk halfway between 0 and 27.5. 15 minutes, he writes. Below, between 0 minutes and 1/2 hour, he writes 18. The board looks like the illustration in the accompanying PDF. He says, 18. Huh? Not only has he put time, 15 minutes, where distance should go, but he has also proposed another number, 18, that makes no sense. A car going 55 miles an hour could not travel 18 miles in 15 minutes. And what reasonable computation would get you to 18? Not dividing 27.5 by 2, or 110 by 4, certainly. And not anything else related to the numbers on the board, either. What do you do? You could quickly correct his time-distance reversal, not drawing too much attention to the mistake, on the assumption that it was a careless error. But what if it wasn't? You decide to assume nothing. 18 miles, you venture, or 18 minutes? Clarify. You wrote 18 next to minutes. Did you mean 18 miles and 15 minutes? Richard nods, erases, and rewrites. Now the numbers are flipped, 18 miles, 15 minutes. But there is still that mystifying 18. What do you do? Should you say simply and directly, that's wrong? What does Richard mean, anyway? Look at the class. Ask, can anybody explain what Richard was thinking? Another jolt of hands. Try to memorize who is asking to speak and who is making a fan out of his pencils. Remember, you aren't just teaching Richard. The other 25 need to be educated too. What are they thinking? Are they learning? Check the time. Just a few minutes left, but this could take much longer. Maybe better to give up. There's always tomorrow. But look at Richard, who still believes 18 makes sense, who doesn't know what he doesn't know. Call on studious Catherine. She says. I disagree with that. She pauses, then, think. She wants to give the correct answer, yet you said, can anybody explain what Richard was thinking, not can anybody talk about her own idea. Catherine seems to know she's out of order. That, she's eyeing you, looking for permission to disobey. Do you grant it? Maybe you should. Nod, and the right answer will come. Clear and concise, knowing Catherine, and just in time for the end of class. But look at Richard. If quick Catherine, a white girl, jumps in with the save, what effect will that have on him? On the other hand, if you don't let Catherine continue, how will that affect the rest of the class? In either case, what will the class learn about race, gender, and, oh yeah, math? On Monday, November 20th, 1989, Magdalene Lampert, a stoic, watchful woman with straight blonde hair clipped to the back of her head and more than a decade of teaching experience, made a snap decision. She pointed to the 18.